Okay, today you're going to learn how to divide polynomials a different way. You're actually going to learn the way I learned when I was in good old high school. 82 is better than you. Anyway, we have two numbers here. We have a fraction, and we have our division symbol. We have our dividend. We have our divisor. And we're looking for a quotient. We're looking for the answer when we divide these two things out. We're going to use the good old-fashioned long division. So we're going to set this up as our divisor, x plus 5 goes into, hate when they say that, 2x cubed plus 11x squared plus 7x plus 10. And we're going to mimic the same long division algorithm that you did back in 3rd or 4th grade. So in other words, if you did, 22 goes into 1,100, the first thing you would do is you would estimate how many times does 2, well 2 can't go into 1, 2 can go into 11, about how many times does 2 go into 11? 5. And then you would say 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 was 11. And then we'd subtract. We're doing the same exact thing over here. X goes into, or in other words, what does x multiply by to get me 2x cubed? Well, 2x squared. And just like this 5 had to multiply by the 2 and then the other 2, this 2x squared gets multiplied by 5, which gets me 10x squared. 2x squared times x gets me 2x cubed. The next thing we did was we subtracted. So we are going to subtract here, but I'm going to show you a little trick. Remember, when we subtract, it's really adding the opposite. So again, if I take another little side step here, 5 minus 3. Well, we know the answer is 2, but we could also change this to addition and change the 3 to negative. 5 plus negative 3 is 2. That's the philosophy we're going to use here. And it was drilled into our head that we write the plus sign down and then we change every sign. Now, I was taught to circle the plus sign and then change it to a subtraction sign because I hate kids that do this. And they go, oh, it's really are you scratching it out or are you trying to make it a subtraction sign? I don't know, it just looks like a big mess to me. So I like the circle and then change the sign. So 2x cubed plus a negative 2x cubed, which is really subtraction, cancels out. 11x squared plus minus 10x squared leaves me with wonderful x squared. Now remember the next step? Right. Bring down the next term, 7x. Now that bringing down of the term is going to change a little bit in another problem, but for the most part we bring 1 down. Now we start it all over again. How many times does x goes into x squared? Well, in other words, x times what, just like in that reverse table we did the other day, gets me x squared. Well, a positive x. Positive x times 5 is positive 5x. Positive x times x is x squared. The algorithm tells us to subtract, so I'm going to add the opposite. X squareds cancel out. 7x minus 5x is going to make us 2x. Bring down the 10. How many times does x goes into 2x? Well, positive 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times x is 2x. Subtract, so we're going to add the opposite, and voila, there's no remainder. So what we really want you to understand is that you just figured out the quotient. So in other words, x plus 5, which was our divisor, multiplied by 2x squared plus x plus 2 gets me my dividend. 2x cubed plus 11x squared plus 7x plus 10. Now some of you are going, oh, well, Mrs. Trillin, I could have figured that out by doing some kind of factoring. Yeah, you could have. And that's what we want you to do in math. We want you to understand that there's more than one way to get the answer. I'm just showing you another way to get the answer. Okay? Here we are with the steps. Now, step 1. Check the numerator and denominator. Make sure your degrees are all represented and in decreasing order. Fill in if not. Huh? What does that mean? You didn't talk about that in that problem. What are you doing to me? Well, this is what we're doing. The highest degree is 2. So it should go 2, 1, none. Great. Check our divisor. Our highest degree is 1, and then there's none. You're going to see in the next example that's going to make a difference. Write the good old long division. Step 3, look at the first term. Think what multiplies with it to get the dividend's first term. So in other words, what multiplies with x to get 2x squared? 2x. 2x times 1 is 2x. 2x times x is 2x squared. Continue using the old school long division. I'm going to add the opposite to represent subtraction. Negative 3x plus negative 2x is negative 5x. I'm going to bring down a negative 5, and I'm going to repeat. X times what gets me negative 5x? Negative 5. Negative 5, negative 5x. Old school addition, add the opposite, 0. So we learned that when we take this dividend divided by this divisor, our answer is 2x minus 5. All right, so let's get to that complicated one. Looks a little short and sweet, but is it? Check the numerator and denominator to make sure all degrees are represented in decreasing order. Fill in if not. So our highest degree here is 4. 3. Wait, there's no 3. 2. What? There's no x to the third and there's no x. Fill in if not. Okay. I'm going to rewrite this. X to the fourth. There is no x to the third, so that means it must be multiplied by 0. X squared. There is no x, so it must be multiplied by 0, 1. And even the denominator, I'm going to write out x squared plus 0x minus 1. Write it as a division problem. All right. Here we go again. X squared, 5x to the fourth. What does x squared need to be multiplied by to get 5x to the fourth? 5x cubed. Oops, sorry. Not cubed. My bad. Squared. 5x squared times x squared. 5x to the fourth. Let me get that little mess of a line out there. That gets multiplied to get me 0, x cubed, and then that gets multiplied to negative 5, x squared. Okay, follow the algorithm. We are going to subtract now. Add. Okay, gotta take the opposite. Gotta take the opposite. Gotta take the opposite. 5x to the fourth minus 5x to the fourth cancels out. Now, we wrote 0, but you really can't take the opposite of 0. It was just habit to circle a plus sign and change it into negative. So don't get all like, you can't take 0 and make it negative because it's not positive to begin with. Yeah, I know. Then minus 6x squared plus 5x squared gives me minus x squared. But now, when we bring down, we don't bring down just the 0x. We bring down the 1. Because notice how this was 3. 1, 2, 3. So we always need to operate with 3. See over here, it was dividing by a binomial. So we always work with binomials. You'll catch on. But for the most part, in Algebra 2, we only have you divide by binomials. Thought I'd make it hard and give you a trinomial. So let's continue. X squared times what gets me negative x squared? Well, negative 1. Negative 1, that's negative x squared. Negative 1 times 0, that's that 0x again. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. And you can see that if you end up with the same exact thing, then it cancels out to 0. But if you don't believe me, we subtract by adding the opposite. Yeah, there's that 0, can't be positive or negative. Yeah, I know. Positive, negative cancel out. Zeros cancel out. Positive, negative cancel out. 0. Hey, guess what? When you divide these two out, your answer is 5x squared minus 1. Here's example 4. You may want to take a screenshot of it. Maybe a little bit on a quiz tomorrow. But we'll work this one through together in class tomorrow. See ya.